This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dulmin Samrasingha, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. All messages issued by the President will be released by the Speaker. Cabinet ministers decide to resign from ministerial portfolios when an all-party government is formed. JVP and 43rd Brigade discusses present political situation. Government declares a national day of mourning tomorrow in connection with the death of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Women parliamentarians request the Ministry of Labour to reconsider the decision to allow mothers to go abroad. Police Special Task Force SSP, who was in charge of the security at Prime Minister's private residence, interdicted. Foreign news: Ukraine aims to amass a million-strong army to recapture South. Sports news: Namibia qualifies for the 2023 Rugby World Cup. Local news in detail. The Presidential Secretariat says that all messages issued by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will be released by the Speaker after information is given to him by the President. Therefore, the Secretariat has requested the public to consider only the announcements issued by the Speaker as official announcements issued by the President. Cabinet ministers who met the Prime Minister today have decided to resign from their respective ministerial portfolios when an all-party government is formed. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe held a discussion with the Cabinet ministers this morning at the Prime Minister's office. The Prime Minister's media division said all the ministers who participated in the discussion were of the opinion that as soon as there is an agreement to form an all-party government, they are ready to hand over their responsibilities to that government. A group of 43rd Brigade led by Patali Champaka Ranavaka met JVP leader Anura Kumar Disanayake at the JVP headquarters today. They have discussed the current political situation in the country. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
More local news. Government has declared a national day of mourning tomorrow in connection with the death of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, MMPK Mayaduna, has instructed to fly the national flag half-mast at all government institutions tomorrow. However, has said, tomorrow is not a public holiday. Parliamentary Select Committee on Gender Equality to make necessary recommendations and report to Parliament said allowing mothers with children under the age of 5 years to go abroad for domestic work has negative impact on the early childhood development of those children. Chairperson of the Women Parliamentarians Caucus, Dr. Sudarshini Fernandes requested the Ministry of Labour and Foreign Employment to reconsider the cabinet decision which was taken to allow Sri Lankan mothers with children under the age of 5 years to go abroad for domestic work without making the family background report that should have been submitted by the mothers going abroad as a mandatory step. The chairperson said due to this decision, The optimal physical and mental development of the children will be adversely affected in the first 5 years, since the mother plays the main role in the early childhood development of the children. Police Special Task Force SSP, who was in charge of the security at Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's private residence, has been interdicted for failing to prevent the assault on a group of journalists on July 9th. SSP Ramesh Lianage was serving as the director of the Prime Minister's Security Division of the STF. Police spokesman SSP Nihal Talduva said the interdiction has been implemented in accordance with the powers vested with the Inspector General Police by the Establishment Code and subject to approval of the Public Service Commission. Chairman of COPE Professor Charita Hera says, although the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Ceylon Petroleum Storage Terminal Limited and the Public Utilities Commission's chairpersons were scheduled to be summoned before the Committee on Public Enterprises at 10 a.m. tomorrow, it was decided not to hold the committee meeting as scheduled due to the current political situation in the country. Due to a personal statement made by the chairman of the Sri Lanka Public Utilities Commission during the last COPE meeting, a controversy arose in the country regarding the price of petroleum. Chairman of the COPE said the committee meetings will resume once the prevailing situation has settled. Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Vijayasakara says payments were made to IOC for a diesel cargo to arrive between 15th and 17th and a petrol cargo from 22nd to 24th. He said the cargo scheduled to arrive on the 9th of July was delayed due to the weather conditions and could not be loaded on time. He said the suppliers has communicated the departure from India yesterday morning. The minister said the full payments for the diesel cargo and the petrol cargo were made with the assistance of Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance on Friday. A bowser transporting 30,000 litres of diesel from Trincomalee to Haputale petroleum storage had veered off the road and toppled at Panketia this morning. The driver and others on board had escaped unhurt. Police had taken steps to transfer the stock of diesel into another bowser. Investigations revealed that the bowser had escaped on the wet road and toppled. That ends local news.
Imagine if you could maintain a firm hold of your operations from anywhere. People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. Imagine business anywhere.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The International Monetary Fund says it is closely monitoring ongoing developments in Sri Lanka and hoping for a resolution to the political crisis that will allow the IMF to resume talks for the bailout package. The IMF said yesterday it plans to continue technical discussions with relevant officials in the Finance Ministry and the Central Bank. The IMF also said they are deeply concerned about the impact of the economic crisis on the people, particularly the poor and vulnerable groups, and reaffirmed its commitment to support Sri Lanka at this difficult time in line with the policies of the IMF. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. Minister of Finance has issued an order under the Foreign Exchange Act extending the amnesty period granted for persons in or resident in Sri Lanka to deposit or sell the foreign currency in possessions to an authorized dealer up to 26th of this month. More information on the order under Section 8 of the Foreign Exchange Act, published in the Gazette dated 5th July 2022, can be downloaded or accessed via www.dfe.lk. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. The defense minister says Ukraine aims to amass a million-strong army to recapture South. Spain approves autopsy for ex-Angola leader. California wildfire threatens world's largest trees. World news in detail. The defense minister says Ukraine plans are a million-strong army equipped with NATO weapons to retake the south of the country from occupying Russians. Oleksiy Reznikov said retaking the areas around the Black Sea coast was vital to the country's economy. However, media said comments are made of the rallying cry than a concrete plan. The defense minister's remarks come as Russia makes progress in taking territory in the eastern Donbas region. A Barcelona court has authorized an autopsy on former Angolan President José Eduardo dos Santos, who died in the city on Friday after his family alleged a conspiracy to kill him. His daughter, Tizzy dos Santos, had requested the autopsy. She said political enemies did not want him to back the opposition in forthcoming Angolan elections. Dos Santos, aged 79, was in Spain for medical treatment and died after a cardiac arrest. He had been in power for 38 years when he stepped down in 2017. A growing wildfire in California is threatening the largest grove of the giant squares in Yosemite National Park. The Washburn fire was doubled in size over the past 24 hours, and it is now estimated to have burned 1,591 acres. Firefighters are working in difficult terrains to protect some of the largest and oldest redwood trees in the world. Residents and campers near the fire have been evacuated, and thick smoke has worsened the region's air quality and obscured the park's scenic views. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The defense minister says Ukraine aims to amass a million-strong army to recapture South. Spain approves autopsy for ex-Angola leader. California wildfire threatens world's largest trees. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. Nestle Lanka and Pereira & Sons Bakers Private Limited have joined hands to help tackle plastic pollution in Sri Lanka by collecting and recycling material or products used in the local bakery chain's outlets. The two companies have taken steps to facilitate segregation of waste by placing separate bins for recyclable and encouraging the responsible disposal. The collected waste is then sent to a Pereira & Sons recyclable material collection center in Rajagiriya, where they are cleaned, compressed and stored until being transported to local recyclers Eco Maximus in Eco Spindles. That ends development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Cricket news. Today is the fourth day of the second test between Sri Lanka and Australia at Galle International Cricket Stadium. Sri Lanka scored 554 in their first innings, while Australia scored 364 short while ago. Rugby news. Namibia have qualified for the 2023 Rugby World Cup with a 36-4 win over Kenya in Rugby Africa Cup final. They will join hosts France, New Zealand, Italy and Uruguay in Pool A of the tournament, which will take place next autumn. It will be Namibia's seventh successive appearance in the finals, having completed at every World Cup since 1999. However, they have lost all 22 matches they have played in the tournament. That ends sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News,
Sponsored by
National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Aitken Spain has acquired Sagazola Power Private Limited from the major shareholders LOLC Group for 1.4 billion rupees. The solar project contributes 10 megawatt to the national grid and is expected to generate approximately 18 million kilowatt hour annually. This is the country's first utility-scale solar farm that extends over 45 acres of leased land. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The central bank says import expenditure declined while earnings from exports increased in May 2022, year-on-year, extending the contraction in the trade deficit for the third consecutive month. Meanwhile, tourist arrivals slowed in May 2022 compared to the previous month. Workers' remittance increased in May 2022 compared to the April 2022. Foreign investment in the government securities market and the Colombo Stock Exchange recorded marginal net inflow during May 2022. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
Finally, moving on to the weather report, the Met Department says showers will occur at times in Sabaragamuwa province and in Nuwara and Kandy districts. Several spells of showers will occur in Western Province and in Gaur and Mathura districts. Strong winds about 40 to 50 km per hour can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills and in northern, central and northwestern provinces and in Trincomalee and Mathura districts. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. All messages issued by the President will be released by the Speaker. Cabinet ministers decide to resign from ministerial portfolios when an all-party government is formed. JVP and the 43rd Brigade discuss present political situation. Government declares a national day of mourning tomorrow in connection with the death of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Women parliamentarians request the Minister of Labour to reconsider the decision to allow mothers to go abroad. Police Special Task Force SSP, who was in charge of security at the Prime Minister's private residence, interdicted. Foreign news, Ukraine aims to amass a million-strong army to recapture South. Sports news, Namibia qualifies for the 2023 Rugby World Cup. With that, we wrap up the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.